And we are live. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the live stream. It is 5 o'clock. It is Thursday. Beautiful day today in Lakewood Ranch. So glad that you can join us. We do this every Thursday, 5 o'clock. We have a really fun show for you. Do me a favor, drop a comment down below. Let us know where you guys are watching from. If you're watching live, thank you for tuning in. We'll give you a couple seconds to everyone to chime in. If you are watching the live stream, if you're watching live stream after the fact, that's cool too. We appreciate you guys watching. Drop those comments down below. Let us know where you're watching from, any kind of comments you have. If you're watching live, we'll address them now. If you're watching this after the fact, we'll get back to you as well too. And who knows, some of the questions that you may have might be a topic of conversation for a future live stream. We got a lot of cool things coming our way. Tonight, speaking of which, we got a couple cool things. We're not going to talk about the election, but we are going to talk about whether or not new policies can have an impact on the housing market. So we're not talking politics. You can save that for Twitter or X or TikTok. We're going to have an adult conversation. This is not a political channel, but there are some things that we definitely need to talk about because I'm not sure if you heard, there was an election last Tuesday, just about 9 days ago. So just breathe. Everything's going to be okay. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how it impacts Florida in particular, and then drill down a little further, see if it could have any impact in Lakewood Ranch, Sarasota. Excuse me a second. We're talking about some cool events that are coming up. And we're going to talk about something that we get asked quite a bit. Is there any place affordable to live in Lakewood Ranch? Sneak peek. Yeah, there actually is. And then we're going to talk a little bit about ways you can help from the hurricane victims. I actually went and did a video yesterday, first time to the beach, in probably 4 months. I mean, obviously, as you know, we had not one, not two, but 3 hurricanes back to back, August and then September and October. So we have not been to the beach. So drove down to Siesta Key and Lido Key just to kind of see what it looks like. And yeah, there's a future video coming up about that. I'm not going to talk about it tonight so much, but I have some links that I want to make sure that I discuss with you, and then also some builder incentives to wrap up. But probably heard me say, if you have watched this channel before, that I am a real estate agent, I'm a lifestyle matchmaker, and I'm a self-proclaimed foodie. Came from the restaurant business, about 15 years, give or take. We cook a lot at home, but we also go out to eat a lot. And the story is going somewhere, I promise. And sometimes it's just, for appetizers and a cocktail. And we tend to go a place that's right down the street from us. Walkable. Didn't really walk there during the summertime. But in the wintertime, in the spring-ish, and certainly in the fall, maybe wintertime, we could definitely walk there. It's close. And that is Main Street in Lakewood Ranch. And we tend to go there's a lot of great restaurants, Percoco's, we like Pinterest Crab Shack, we like Remy's, but we tend to go to Grove a lot. Some people call it The Grove. I think it's technically Grove for a couple reasons. Being foodies and working in the restaurant business, we're super picky. We like Grove because it's great service and great food, and they have a really fantastic cocktail selection. So if you've been watching for a long time, because I think this is probably the 3rd or 4th live stream, then I start off with a delicious bourbon from my collection. So this is Horse Soldier, which I had over at Grove. Now they had 2. They had the regular Horse Soldier, and then they had this one, which is their small batch. So I'm going to pour myself one because it is 5 o'clock, not only somewhere, it is 5 o'clock here in Lakewood Ranch. And the interesting thing about this, they have a terrific selection of bourbons there. But what I tend to find, and you may or may not know this, bourbon nowadays, very trendy, very popular, very trendy. We tend to not be able to find our bartenders who can just tell us some of your favorites. I don't know. I've worked in the restaurant for a long time. I'm not asking you to lie, but at minimum, we should probably just have a couple rattled off in your head. Hey, what kind of bourbons do you like? Oh, you know what we sell a lot of? Even if you don't drink. We sell a lot of this Horse Soldier. Would you like to try something? Because what happens is it winds up being a lot of trial by fire. Buying one, trying it, hoping that you like it. I happened to try the Horse Soldier, which was delicious. So I figured I'd try the upgraded version, which was the Horse Soldier small batch straight bourbon whiskey. So cheers. Gosh, that's so good. So good. Now, sometimes bourbon is an acquired taste. So like I said, if you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Be 21 years old. I always feel like I have to say that one. Eventually, I'm not going to say it because you should know better, especially if you're an adult watching this channel. And one of these days, there's going to be somebody on this live stream who is actually having a cocktail with me. So drop a comment down below too. What's your favorite cocktail? Even if it's not alcoholic. I don't care if it's iced tea. Drop a comment down below. So I got some information on a horse soldier. Well, I like kind of starting the live streams off this way. And if you're just tuning in, wondering what the heck this real estate agent is doing, drinking on the job, I watch a lot of live streams. Watch a lot of YouTube. Watch a lot of real estate live streams from real estate agents all over the country. I'm friends with a lot of agents around the country, and I'd like to see what they're talking about. I like to see what works. I also like to keep appraised of what's happening in the real estate market all over the country. So I watch a lot of live streams. I tend to see them drinking water, drinking iced tea. Some of them are drinking coffee. Oh, by the way, quick plug, Lakewood Ranch all day. Go check it out online. I see them drinking green juice. I don't want to do any of that. It's 5 o'clock. We do a live stream for an hour. Gonna have myself a bourbon. Cheers again. So, little information about Horse Soldier. It's a wheated bourbon made from small batches of meticulously blended mature bourbon and non-chilled filter. It was a double gold medal winner at the 2022 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. It is 95 proof. It is 47.5% alcohol by volume. Here's why I liked it. Obviously, I liked it because it was delicious. And usually when I drink it, I only drink like, they call it one finger, right? One finger full. And I'll probably have like 2 different kinds. Like I'll have one of that and I'll have one of the other ones. And then I'm drinking water. I like their story though. So their story begins at ground zero. The Horse Soldier bourbon story is woven into the fabric of America's most historic moments. Just days after 9/11, elite teams of Green Berets were inserted into Afghanistan, some on horseback. Dubbed the Horse Soldiers, their exploits were retold in the Hollywood blockbuster 12 Strong, which I've not seen yet, but I'm going to. The CNN documentary Legion of Brothers, which I've not seen, but I'm going to see if I can find that one. And memorialized by America's Response Monument located at Ground Zero in New York. So I thought that was awesome. Great story. When I smell it, a little butterscotch, little cherries. And then when I taste it, definitely caramel, little nutmeg, a little bit of oak. It is made in Kentucky, Bardstown, Kentucky. Somerset, Pulaski County in Kentucky, to be exact. Then a Horse Soldier bourbon is handmade with all natural ingredients, bottled in the heartland of America, aged to perfection. All right, done with the liquor talk. Let's get on to business. I have a question that somebody proposed, and I'm not sure I have an answer, but I'll tell you what. Let me get rid of that little scroll first. Evan E3 comments on a lot of videos, so thank you, Evan, for tuning in. I think this was in response to one of the videos we did about, it might have been Ranch Night Wednesdays, where they closed down the streets on Waterside in Lakewood Ranch. Wanted to know if you can smoke cigars outside. Terrific question. And I didn't really know the answer. So I did some Googling. Let me share my screen and I'll show you what I found. I'm not sure it's going to suffice anybody, including myself. Because this is all, federal or locally regulated. Get rid of that too, so you can actually see the screen. All right, so this is the first thing that I found. Sarasota County, although Waterside is in Sarasota County, Main Street, Lakewood Ranch is not, but I guess the whole outdoor event. So I can't remember which one exactly it was that he commented on, but Sarasota County to prohibit smoking at county-owned beaches and parks. So kind of not sort of the same, but I'm telling you, the information that I found was a hit or miss. So basically, you can't smoke on the beach or in the parks. Then I found this, which is the 2024 Florida statute, the closest thing to a new of regulation that I can possibly, and this is specifically about regulation of smoking preempted to the state. So this part expressly preempts regulation of smoking to the state and supersedes any county or municipal ordinance of the subject. However, counties and municipalities may further restrict smoking within the boundaries of any public beaches. I know that probably does not answer the question too. So then I just figured I would go to AI, because AI, specifically Perplexity, which is I want to say more accurate than ChatGPT, but more better information. And here's what I found. In Lakewood Ranch, smoking cigars in public is generally permissible, but there are specific regulations and restrictions to consider. Now, again, this is AI, so take it for what it is worth. Statewide regulations. Florida law allows for smoking in public spaces. However, municipalities can impose their own restrictions. That's what it said in the actual articles. Unfiltered cigars are specifically exempt from certain local ordinances that might otherwise limit smoking in public areas. Interesting. Local ordinances, while the state law provides some leeway, local governments can restrict smoking in public parks and in beaches. In Lakewood Ranch, it's important to check if there are any specific local ordinances that prohibit smoking in certain public areas, especially parks and community spaces. That's what I try to do. I honestly could not find any answers. If you happen to know, do me a favor, drop a comment down below. If you're a public official watching too, comment down below. I would love to know. Designated areas. That seems more logical, because I know for cigarette smoking, there tends to be designated areas. Many places, including bars and restaurants, may have designated smoking areas where you can smoke cigars. It's advisable to look for signage, including whether or not smoking is allowed on those occasions. I am an occasional cigar smoker. I can tell you right now, I will only smoke in places that definitely allow cigars, like cigar bars, or my own place. Although technically I'm not allowed to smoke a cigar in my place, but it's my place. I would do it anyway. That's a more community rule than my rule. I mean, I literally was just in Las Vegas, where I took a cigar from Florida to Las Vegas and could not even smoke a cigar in Las Vegas at a casino, at least the casino that I was at. You cannot smoke at a table. This is the second trip to Las Vegas with a cigar that I was told that you cannot smoke at a table. Cigarettes all day long. At a table, nope. And then private property. Some residential complexes or private properties in Lakewood Ranch may have their own rules banning smoking entirely, including cigars. That is the case. I know that is the case, because I have experienced that before. But do me a favor, drop a comment down below. What is your thought on that? Do you give a damn about smoking cigars? Somebody asked me, I'm a cigar smoker. I always would love to smoke one outdoor somewhere. And again, for me in particular, I'm only smoking it if I know for sure that, one, it's definitely loud, and two, that there are definitely other cigar smokers, which in my experience, quite honestly, living all over the country, those are few and far between. So there's definitely a couple cigar bars that I go to in this area. That's it. It's either that or at my house or at a friend's house where I know it's acceptable. All right. Let's get into today's topic. Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh my goodness. Generally, I don't talk anything related with politics at all as a real estate agent, not just talking about politics and religion. And again, this is not going to be a political discussion. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care who you voted against. I don't care what party you are with. This is specifically about what the policies of the soon-to-be president, what kind of impact can it have on the real estate market? So what I like to do first is kind of read the article. Because a lot of people have not read this article yet. Now, I've talked to a lot of real estate agents, had this conversation with a lot of real estate agents, and it's interesting to hear everybody's thoughts. So for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to read you this article, and then we're going to kind of dig down a little deeper to see what kind of impact it could have here in Florida and then in Lakewood Ranch. So President-elect Donald Trump wants to address housing affordability in the U.S. by fomenting the construction of new homes. Sounds great. We're going to open up tracts of federal land for housing construction. We desperately need housing for people who can't afford what's going on now. As of mid-2023, there has been a housing shortage of 4 million homes in the U.S., according to the National Association of Realtors. Now, full disclosure, I have seen those articles from the National Association of Realtors. I've seen them speak. It seemed up until maybe we said I want to speak for them. I don't even think they believe that we can build ourselves out of a massive shortage of 4 million homes. That's a tremendous amount of homes that we're short of, and that's as mid-2023. It might even be higher now. Anyway, it's clear that the prescription for that crisis is more building. Of course, this is coming from the CEO of the National Association of Home Builders. So, of course, he's going to say he wants more home building. And I, as a real estate agent, I don't disagree. Not sure it's necessarily the case where we are in Florida, but we'll talk about that. So there's been a small increase in new homes being built this year, but it's still not enough to meet the high demand for housing, leaving a significant gap in the market where there are not enough homes available for buyers. Now, I'm in Lakewood Ranch. There's a ton of building going on. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. Single-family housing starts in the U.S. grew to a little over $1 million in September. That's a 2.7% jump from August, while building more homes is the simple answer to address the housing issue in the country. Other promises Trump has made could deter affordability, experts say. For instance, Trump has talked about enacting a mass deportation of immigrants in the U.S. Now, I think, I want to speak for soon-to-be President Trump, I think that's supposed to be illegal immigrants. Take that for what it's worth. I'm not going to try to analyze this. I'm just going to kind of read it. But doing so might lead to higher building costs as the construction industry depends on immigrant labor. He also claimed that he would pull down mortgage rates back to a pandemic era lows, although I think, as we all know, presidents do not control mortgage rates. Here's how some of Trump's policies could affect the market during his administration. Now, this is overall big picture, which is one of the things we started to do on this channel, particularly in the live stream. We're going to talk big picture real estate, big picture housing, and then drill down to see how that affects or impacts Florida, and then drill down a little further to see how it may or may not impact Lakewood Ranch, Sarasota, Manatee County. All right, so the first thing, deregulations to increase affordability. At the end of Trump's first presidency, he signed an executive order eliminating regulatory barriers to affordable housing, federal, state, and local tribal opportunity. That could be a blueprint going forward. Director of the Bipartisan Policy Center's Terwilliger Center. During his 2024 campaign, Trump called for slashing regulations and permit requirements, which can add onto housing costs for home buyers. Experts say that regulatory costs trickle down to the prices home buyers face. Of course, builder costs are high. They pass those down to us, the consumers. Definitely see that all the time. We will eliminate regulations that drive up housing costs with the goal of cutting the cost of a new home in half, Trump said in a speech back in September. About 24% of the cost of a single-family home and about 41% of the cost of a multifamily home are directly attributed to regulatory costs at the local, state, and federal level. That's a lot, right? 41%, 24%. 24% of the cost of a single-family home. Wow. If we reduce the regulatory burden on home construction or apartment constructions, we're going to lower the cost for the consumer. All sounds fantastic, right? All right, let's move on. Second thing, impacts on construction workforce. Trump has also blamed rising home prices on a surge, there it is, of illegal immigration during the Biden administration. However, experts say that most of the undocumented immigrants are not homeowners. I think we probably can all agree that is true. Instead, they live in homes owned by U.S. citizens, usually with family and or possibly renting. If a mass deportation were to happen, such homes would remain occupied, right? Meaning that they're probably staying with friends and or family. Yet proposals like mass deportation and tighter border controls could impact housing affordability. About a third or 31% of construction workers in the U.S. were immigrants, according to the NAHB. Anything that threatens to disrupt the flow of immigration will send shockwaves to the labor market in home construction. It's been difficult to recruit native-born workers into the construction industry, experts say. Same thing happens for the restaurant business. I came from the restaurant business before getting into real estate, and hired a lot of legal immigrants. I worked in states and companies that required us to hire just legal immigrants, and it's it was challenging to say the least. Okay, so construction trades are an unpopular career choice for young American adults. Only 3% showed interest in the field, the poll found. Therefore, a mass sweeping of available workers can create a labor shortage in construction, and with fewer workers, wages might increase, which will likely be passed on to the consumer, right? Labor costs go up, those costs get passed on to consumers. You're seeing right now in a lot of restaurants, right? Labor costs go up, that's got to be passed down to the consumer. So what's more, it will take longer for construction companies to complete housing projects and therefore slow down efforts to increase supply. While we are doing a better job training the domestic workforce through trade schools, apprenticeship programs, and other initiatives, the industry still heavily relies on immigrant labor. Show of hands, I might be aging myself, but who thinks like trade schools should come back again? Yeah, like some of my favorite classes were like electronics, woodworking. I even took like home economics, like sewing, which was great. I still use those sewing techniques back from like 9th and 10th grade. Anyway. Right, number 3, let's talk about tariffs could hike building costs. Trump has opposed a 10% to 20% tariffs on all imports across the board, as well as a rate between 60 and 100% for goods from China. A blanket tariff at 10 to 20% on raw building materials like lumber could push housing costs higher, as well as materials for home renovations. Any tariffs that raise the cost of products are going to flow directly to the consumer. On average, construction costs for a single-family home is around $392,000 and some change. It depends on what the tariffs look like. A chief economist at Redfin, there could be varying impacts. Of course, all this is new and all this is speculation. Overall, home builders expect to construct about 1.2 million single-family homes and around 300,000 multifamily unit homes over the next year. That's exciting. That's a big chunk of the 4 million that we are short. Although I still think it's higher than 4 million. There's a lot of people who are renting because they can't afford a place because interest rates are too high and housing are too high. Those two things together do not work well together. It might be too soon to tell if the Trump administration will prioritize housing costs as much as a Harris administration would have, and the aids Trump has mentioned might not help densely populated areas. We'll talk about that too. Trump mentioned plans to release federal lands for housing, but federal lands tend to concentrate in rural areas. That doesn't do anything for these densely populated blue cities that really need the most help. Interesting. Okay, so that was the article. Comments, thoughts? What do you think about that? So I want to drill down a little bit and talk about how this could affect the Florida market and the local market. Can you guys see that? You guys can see that. Let me make that a little larger, maybe. Maybe it'll help you see it just a little more. All right, there you go. All right, so let me take a moment. Have another sip of my delicious horse soldier. Small batch. It takes a lot to talk just on your own. That's why I need you guys to chime in. Drop those comments down below. Definitely want to know where you're watching from. All right. So implications of Trump policies for the Florida real estate market in particular. So Trump's proposed policies regarding housing, tariffs, immigration reforms could significantly affect Florida's real estate market. Here's a breakdown of the key impacts. Housing market supply and affordability. Increased land for housing. Trump's proposal to open federal land for housing aims to address the national housing shortage, particularly in densely populated urban areas, right? That's where the people live. That's where you need the most houses. The challenge is that the vast majority of federal land tends to be in more rural areas and less in highly populated areas. Now, I did obviously pull up the map because I wanted to know for myself. I didn't, should have probably just put it up on the screen, but I didn't. I printed it. But as you can see, hopefully you can see, there is not a whole lot in Florida. Almost none. It's down in the Everglades, which is mostly, and most of it is here. You can see on the West Coast. So the vast majority, Oregon, Nevada, the East Coast of California, which is, in the desert or the mountains, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, Idaho, a little bit in Montana, a little bit in South Dakota, a little bit in North Carolina. So not a whole ton of federal land. I understand the thought process, but maybe it's more than just federal land, and maybe it's other land. Regulatory rollbacks. Trump's push to cut regulations related to housing construction could reduce building costs, which currently make up 24% of the cost of single-family homes. We talked about that. If local regulations align with these changes, certain areas could see reduced home prices, improving affordability, possibly making real estate more accessible for first-time home buyers, which would be fantastic. The challenge still being a shortage of affordable homes and potentially increased competition, possibly keeping prices high. It's supply and demand, meaning that if prices do come down and more buyers do get into the market, especially at the affordable level, unless there's just a massive amount of those homes, there's going to be competition, right? It's supply and demand. If two first-time home buyers finally can't afford to buy a $300,000 house, and they're both competing for it, that house might sell for, $310, $325, $350, whatever the case may be. Anyway, you get the point. It might just drive up the home prices. And again, the same issues we talked about in the article that are also going to apply here to Florida. Challenge in the construction workforce, labor shortages. Trump proposed immigration restrictions, including potential mass deportations. And again, I think that's supposed to be illegal immigrants and not just immigrants. It could disrupt Florida's construction industry, which relies heavily on immigrant labor. Labor shortages would likely increase wages for workers, right? If there's not enough workers, you got to pay the ones who are currently with you more money, raising overall project costs. As a result, new housing developments may become more expensive and slower to compete, affecting both home prices and availability. It's kind of that catch-22, right? And then longer projected timelines. With fewer available workers, construction timelines could be extended, delaying the completion of housing projects across Florida. This would likely increase the carrying costs for developers, which may be passed on to buyers. We're seeing this happen right now in Lakewood Ranch. We're going to talk about that in a second. Higher cost from tariffs on building materials. This is a big one too that is most likely going to affect the real estate and housing. Tariffs on imports. Trump's tariff proposal, especially targeting Chinese goods, would likely raise costs for building materials from lumber to fixtures. This would alleviate construction expenses in Florida, potentially increasing prices for new homes and renovations. So obviously, if American companies are paying more for Chinese products, that gets it's the opposite of what people think trickle down economics is, right? Those costs get passed on to us, the consumer. And then broader economic and consumer impact on Florida. Reduced consumer spending. Higher prices on consumer goods due to tariffs could lead to reduced consumer spending in Florida as households allocate more budgets to essentials. Lower discretionary income could dampen retail and service industries, key economic drivers in the state, and may slow the influx of new residents looking for jobs, right? People want to move to Florida, but they want to make sure they have jobs. Tourism and hospitality. Florida's tourism industry could also face challenges if tariffs leads to price increase in travel goods and leisure items. Reduced tourism spending may impact jobs and income in hospitality-related sectors, which could in turn affect the housing market in tourist-driven cities like Orlando and Miami. So in conclusion, while deregulation and the release of federal lands may provide potential relief for housing supply issues, other policies such as immigration restrictions and tariffs could create significant cost pressures. Labor shortages in construction and increased material costs may undermine affordability gains from deregulation efforts. Furthermore, rising prices on everyday consumer goods could strain Floridians' budgets, potentially cooling demand in the real estate market. Combined, these factors may contribute to a more complex and challenging real estate environment for Florida. Whew. Mouthful. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that one? What do you think is going to happen? Now, I got my fingers crossed. I'm in the real estate business. I'm in the housing business. So regardless of who the president is, I am hoping that something gets done. Now, obviously, the president can do executive orders, but it's going to be the Senate and it is going to be Congress that is going to have to work together, even with the current numbers in the House and the Senate, to pass some of this stuff. So I hope they can put all their BS bickering aside and work together, which is what I think all the Americans want, to get something done so that housing is more affordable. Now, I can give you my personal opinion about what I'm seeing here, specifically in Lakewood Ranch and in Sarasota. let's talk specifically about Lakewood Ranch in Sarasota, because let me talk specifically about Lakewood Ranch, because even though part of Lakewood Ranch waterside is in Sarasota, when I think Sarasota, I'm thinking more like the beach areas and the Gulf areas that are its own different beast. Obviously, there's tons of construction going on there at the moment, or kind of rebuilding construction, because that area was just obviously decimated by flooding and wind damage. But here in Lakewood Ranch, there is a massive amount of new construction going on. I know we're kind of in our own little bubble. That might not be the case where you live. I was on a live stream with another real estate agent yesterday who's kind of in that DC, Northern Virginia, Maryland area. Not a whole ton of new construction like there is in Lakewood Ranch. There is about 45 neighborhoods in Lakewood Ranch and in Sarasota County. And like 12 of those neighborhoods are new construction, maybe more than that, maybe 15 new construction. There's 4 or 5 neighborhoods currently under construction right now as we speak. So a shortage in employees could be devastating. And we can tell right now there's a couple things that have slowed the real estate market here, which is high interest rates. I looked before the live stream. Interest rates are currently, see, 7.02%. 7% interest rates. The presidential election obviously slows things down. People are in a kind of wait and see mode. So, I don't know, you were a supporter of President Trump or excited that he got in there, maybe you're going to get off the fence now and buy. Even if you weren't a supporter of him, maybe you're like, okay, well, I see what he's going to try to do. So maybe it's time to get off the fence and stop renting and buy, whatever the case may be. But then we also know that that new NAR lawsuit settlement, where buyers now have to sign a buyer representation agreement to have real estate agents show them properties, that is scaring people away. It's a little new to a lot of people, although we have been doing that one for quite some time. It's not scary. It's kind of like what we explained. It's kind of like dating. If you go on a date and you don't like each other, you break up. So if you sign a buyer broker agreement, so a real estate agent can show you properties, and then you're like, man, I don't like this real estate agent, or I'm not going to look for a house, you're done. There's no real estate agent who's going to like hold you to it and hold you to that contract. There's compensation involved. That's a different story. But those things alone are slowing the real estate market down. And we can see in this area where there's tons of constructions, that the housing market has slowed pretty drastically. And I'm going to talk about at the end, as I have for the last couple of weeks, with the builder incentives. The builder incentives that they are offering now are just incredible. Why? Because now there's costs involved. The homes are not selling because buyers are not buying for a whole ton of reasons. So they're competing. Like I said, there's 12 neighborhoods, plus you're competing with resale homes. So it's a massive issue. My fingers are crossed. Just do what you can, Congress. Do what you can, Senate. Do what you can, Mr. Soon-to-be President, Mr. Current President. If you can do anything while you're still in office to make housing easier for people, it's going to be a win-win-win for everybody, and everyone's going to be happy, right? All right. That was the feature article. Still want to hear your comments because I know you got thoughts and feelings on that one. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic of conversation, which is going to be I did. No, there it is. We'll share my screen again too. I'm not going to talk about this in depth because I'm going to put this in the description down below. But this is links to places where you can come help. So obviously, if you are a homeowner and you have assistance, hopefully you need assistance. Hopefully you have you're on that already, considering it's been about a month. But these are the links that are here. But then I also have some links for those who want to volunteer and or donate. So if you are in a position that you can donate your time, fantastic. I got a whole list of places that you can do that and what is needed. And if you can help financially, that would be fantastic. I was on the phone today trying to figure out where I can do a food drive. You would think it would be really easy to find a place to do a food drive. We did a bunch of them on Maui. It does not seem in Florida that I have those same opportunities. I looked into doing them in some of the parks in Manatee County, Sarasota County. They don't allow that to happen. Now, can I get away with just popping up a tent and doing that one? Yeah, I guess so. We kind of like to do it legally, especially when you're or collecting food for, in this case, you can see Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels and the Manatee County Food Bank are kind of the same organization nowadays. Anyway, stay tuned for that one. I will put these links in the description below. Like I said, if you are in a position to help, we would greatly appreciate it. This area definitely got decimated. You'll see the video that I did probably like another week or so, just to kind of see what the area looks like. All right, so let's keep talking. I get a lot of people who ask, are there any affordable homes in the Lakewood Ranch area? Now, that's a relative term, right? What I think is affordable might not be what you think is affordable, and vice versa. So what I did is I did a scroll through the multiple listing service for single family homes. Did it for single family homes first, just to see what the least expensive options were and what neighborhoods that they were in. If there was kind of like a one-off, if there was one like $400,000 home, but everything else was like $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. I did not include that one, but it was a pretty obvious one. But then I did find two that were condos. So I have some with single family homes and some with condos. There's links on our website. Oh, by the way, let me throw up our website real quick for those of you who care, who want to check out what we are doing. We are the 941lifestylegroup.com. Go check it out. And oh, by the way, it's two, just in case you didn't know, we have not one, but two YouTube channels. The one you're currently watching, which is 941 Lifestyle Group, educational information about, moving to Florida, life in Sarasota, life in Manatee County, life in Lakewood Ranch. Then we also have the 941 Premier Home Tours. For those of you who love seeing inside of homes, we have that channel, which is new construction model homes. There's some of our listings. There's some other agents' listings who have allowed us to record videos there because we're great at marketing homes and doing home tours. So if you want to see that, that's the link in the description down below. But let's talk about some of the neighborhoods where you can get what I believe is considered inexpensive homes here in Lakewood Ranch. Now, you can find, one of the things I've said a million times, the great thing about Lakewood Ranch is you can find homes for the $200,000 range, and you can find a home for close to $7 million and everything in between, which is one of the great things I think about Lakewood Ranch. All right, so the first one is Summerfield. Summerfield is the OG of Lakewood Ranch. It was the original neighborhood built starting back in 1995, 30 years ago, just about 30 years ago. But look, you can find, so these are condos or townhomes, $259,000. But look, here's a single family home for $339,000. 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, a little over 1,000 square feet. There's one that just did a price drop for $450,000. Now, I'm not going to get too far off the scale. I was looking at these $200,000 to $300,000. I know these neighborhoods. I love Summerfield. What I love about Summerfield is that because it was the original one, all that you can see, just even in the picture, those trees have all just grown up. So it is kind of lush and green. And, these new construction neighborhoods, they basically clear them down to dirt and then plant trees, not big trees. They plant little teeny live oaks that take 20, 30 years to get this big. So just physically, just a beautiful neighborhood. I really love Summerfield. The next one on the list, love that one too. Used to be one of my old favorite neighborhoods, which is Greenbug, one of the other original ones. I think it was like the second neighborhood to be built, going back to late 90s, I believe, 97, 98. But look, this is a single family home for $390,000, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,400 square feet. There's a couple in the $400,000 range. I mean, for this area, that's my opinion, that's still affordable housing ish. The next one is a golf community. If you are a golfer, Lakewood National, another gorgeous neighborhood. It's actually gated. The first two neighborhoods I showed you, not gated, no real amenities. Greenbrook has actually they both basically just have parks and walking trails and lots of ponds and lakes. No amenities. There's no pickleball courts. It's not gated. But then you move into Lakewood National, it is a gated community, tons and tons of amenities. I'm not going to talk about all those in this video, but I want to show you what you can get. You can definitely get condos in the $300,000 range. And I think, let's see what the least expensive single family home is. Yeah, they jump up. So it looks like that's $900,000, but you can definitely get condos. I mean, you can see those. The 300,000. I've seen them less than that one. I've seen them in the 200s. They do pop up every now and again. I think I saw a couple that were pending. And then this one, do a video at this place. And this is Azario Townhome, brand new construction. I have no pictures of what they look like. Brand spanking new. I know the models are home because I just got an email about it. I know there's a realtor event coming up, or maybe happened already, but townhomes in the $200,000 to $300,000 range. They range from 1,100 square feet to 1,500 square feet. Homeowners Association in the 225,000 range. Let me see if I can see anything about the community. Amenities. What kind of amenities come in this one? Swimming pool. Like there's a swimming pool. I'm sure there's other amenities. But yeah, that's another great community with great options for those of you looking for a townhome. Okay, next up, we have got Central Park. I really like Central Park too. It is a gated community. There are some amenities in there, but look, these are single-family homes. $345,000, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,100 square feet. Is over $389. Here's a 3-bedroom, 2 bath for $429. It's 1,800 square feet. Let's go look at this one. I mean, that's a single-family home. They're relatively new. I can't remember when they were. Okay. Never mind. I will put the links in the description down below. All right. And then I did very quickly want to talk to you about, anyway, to the point, there are affordable single-family homes and condos in Lakewood Ranch. So if you have any questions about any of those, do me a favor, my contact information down below. Call me anytime, text me. Actually, probably call me. But if you need to get a hold of me, my contact information down below. Let me say this too really quick too about new construction. I always like to mention this. New construction, you go into a model home, there's a sales associate there, super knowledgeable, very friendly. We're friends with lots of them. However, they work for and represent the seller, which in this case is the builder. And at the time of this recording, those sellers, those builders are still paying buyer compensation. So you want to have somebody who represents you in the transaction. So if you go to a model home, or if you go to the visitor center on Main Street in Lakewood Ranch, register me as your real estate agent. Let them know that you have a real estate agent. You will still have the opportunity to speak to the salesperson. You will still have the opportunity to ask questions. You just have somebody in your corner representing you. So just wanted to say that one. All right, there are a couple of events that are coming up that I want to be sure that I mentioned to you. The typical events, Ranch Side Wednesdays, which is in Waterside, Sarasota County, in Lakewood Ranch. That is every Wednesday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Food trucks, live music, cornhole. I think it's the largest cornhole event in the country. All right, it's a lot of fun. Sunday is the farmer's market. I think we're going to go to the farmer's market this Sunday because, believe it or not, there's a guy who sells cigars there, even though I can't smoke the cigar there. But great stuff. We need some bread. There's a great bread guy there. There's a guy who sells knishes. Knishes are so good there. There's so many vendors. Anyway, that is every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. all year long. That's also in Waterside in Sarasota County in Lakewood Ranch. And then there's the Sarasota Farmers Market, which is in downtown Sarasota on Main Street. That is every Saturday all year long, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. So those 3 events happen most of the year. Ranch Night Wednesdays is only from October to May. Yeah, gone for the summertime. But the rest are all year long. But a big event is happening this weekend in Siesta Key. Even though Siesta Key is pretty devastated, like I said, I was just there. I went to the beach. I saw it is set up. And that is the 2024 Siesta Key Crystal Classic. I used to set up a booth there. I'm going to look to see if I can set up a booth there next year, a real estate agent booth. And that's one of the sand sculpting events. And these guys and girls do super detailed, intricate sand sculptures on the beautiful white quartz crystal sand that Siesta Key is very well known for. That is the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, and the 18th, 4 days. If you are in this area, please, please, please go to see it. It is just unbelievable. It is breathtaking. The weather is supposed to be great. We are supposed to get a storm coming in next week. It does not look like it's going to be a hurricane and or a tropical storm, but yeah, you should definitely go. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday. Go there for sure. And then finally, one more thing that I wanted to talk about before I let everybody go to, because I always try to end on a positive note, and that is the incentives from the builders. And again, I will put a link in the description down below. There are a ton of them. There are a ton of these listed. I don't want to go through all of them, but I did find one where I was like, wow, that is fantastic. I did a driving tour the other day through Windward, which is in Sarasota County in Lakewood Ranch. It is the furthest south as you can go in Lakewood Ranch. And what I love about this community is it is on Lorraine Road, which runs north-south, and Fruitville Road, which runs east and west. So east all the way out to Mayaca City, to the west, to downtown Sarasota. If you take Fruitville till it ends, you end in downtown Sarasota, which takes you down to the beaches. You can be in Lido Key in no time. So that's why I like it. But I saw this offer the other day. And again, there's tons of incentives. But I saw this one and I was like, man, what is the deal with this one? A free pool up to $100,000 or a rate buy down 3.25%. Now, I just showed you the interest rate was 7.02%. So you can choose a free pool. There's obviously some details of buying that one, or a 2-to-1 buy down rate, meaning that year one, your interest rate is 3.25, year two, 4.25, years 3 to 30, it's 5.25. Now, you want to do your research on that one because obviously, you know, your mortgage at a 3.25 interest rate might be affordable, but when it rises 2 more points to 5.25, it might not become as affordable. So you want to make sure that worst case scenario, you can afford the home today at that 5.25 interest rate. We should talk to your lender. I'm not a lender. Don't want to give you that expertise. And again, if you are thinking about buying a home here, don't go talk to the sales associate without letting them know that I am your real estate agent, Adam Miller, with the 9401 Lifestyle Group. Hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Drop those comments down below. We will get to them as we wrap things up. So we will get to them either next week or just during the week. And we appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. If there are other topic conversations that you think you want us to talk about, drop those in the comments down below. Or if you don't feel like dropping a comment, my phone number, my email, all down below. You can find me on social media too, Adam Miller in Florida, Facebook and Instagram. But it's best you can just find me right here. These are our 2 channels, 941 Lifestyle Group, 941 Premier Home Tours. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll give you a final cheers with my horse soldier. Thank you guys for tuning in. Give you a little shaka. Have a safe and happy weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. By the way, I have some fun videos coming up this week, so if you have not subscribed to the channel already, you should do that. Hit that little bell too so you get notified when we come out with new videos.